Welcome back to the Incredible Machines podcast, where we sit down with incredible people doing incredible things. Today we chat with Pieter Geldenhuys, an author of 6 books and counting, leadership consultant and storytelling expert who has turned business lessons, rugby systems, and personal experience into powerful tools for growth. We talk about storytelling, purpose, systems, and building businesses that win, Springbok lessons, and showing up when it's hard. So settle in to an episode filled with powerful stories, lessons on leadership, entrepreneurship, and what it takes to keep showing up. Let's dive in with the incredible PG, Pieter Geldenhuys.
This year so far, I have all the content because I've done the interviews, but my 7th book will be about my dad. I am writing a memoir of my dad from everybody that's still alive that knew him for my kids, for them to read one day. I think we lose generational wisdom and context of where our forefathers come from. But I haven't made the time because it's quite intentional. Again, it's bandwidth. So with, I don't know who said it, one of the famous authors, I forget which one, said, I write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, inspiration strikes at 9 o'clock every morning. I.e., you don't wait for the muse. You just sit down and you punch out a metric. 500 words, half an hour, just whatever, and let it be shit. And can I swear on here? I'm not sure.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be good because the magic happens in the rework, the tossing out of even the good stuff because it doesn't fit the narrative. So I've learned to love the process of writing. So I'm no longer afraid of the 2nd and the 3rd and the 11th phase of making the book good. And I absolutely love the first phase. But what I've had to do is reframe all the other phases. So it's not a chore because it's a hobby. It supports my business. It ticks all the things. My origin story sits in storytelling, and anything that supports my gift of storytelling gives me joy. And so writing is just something that instead of cycling for the Argus, I will spend that hour and a half, 5 o'clock in the morning, if I choose to do that in that season. Instead of cuddling with my wife, I will spend, but it's a 5 o'clock thing for me. It's a 5 o'clock to 6:30 before everyone wakes up, bandwidth thing over and over again for a few months, and then there's a book.
Okay.
But it's a choice to allocate that bandwidth away from something else.
And a discipline to do it, I guess, huh?
Yeah, you got to understand the goal and then apply the discipline. I trained on this exactly today. Then you got to have a cadence. You can't go for a day today. You go every day. For the first sprint, and Stephen King taught me that in his book. Then you leave it alone, and then you come back to it once you've given it a bit of time to roost. You give it to a few people, they give you input, you rework it. There's lots of stages to this to make it worthwhile. But in the final sprint, I go away for 48 hours. I book myself in for a writer's retreat, and I finish that sucker on sort of version 3. And then I've got my working copy, and then it's just working it until it's good. And there's stuff to that too, yeah. But I've come to love all the stages of the creation of it. It's telling stories and telling them well, and which I think I do is such a joy.
That's amazing. The Stephen King book you've referred is about writing, huh?
It's called On Writing.
On Writing.
It's Stephen King's, and you got to credit my wife. I decided in Feb 2020. I revisited the Stephen King book, and when COVID hit, I decided I'm going to read all the Stephen King books because I haven't read them for years. Carolyn said, "Well, here's one that's been sitting here, and it's kind of ragged, but it looks like you only read it halfway. It's On Writing." And then I started writing it, and the first thing he says is just suck, just write, and don't mind sucking. And then once you've done the first draft, you go back and you make it good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I've been doing wrong. I've been trying to be perfect. And then I just started writing because COVID gave you all this time. So I must say I was lucky in that way. We had a tourism business. It got completely slammed. And after 6 months of kind of trying to figure things out, we just kind of sat with it, as everybody did for 22 months as it turned out in tourism. And that gave me almost 14-month runway to tackle this project. So I had time.
Yeah, so that was during COVID. We're going to get there. So maybe let's use this as a point to go back, transition into the origins. And so I know you from EO, and we do this lifeline, and we do it with our guests now. And it's been one of those things that I've loved seeing the reaction of guests and doing the exercise. And it's been one of the best gifts from EOs and the tool that I use even in my marriage, we revisit it. But like, so I just know you. I know you from Cape Town. Has it always been Cape Town? Where were you born?
Born in Stellenbosch.
Oh yeah.
So I'm born in Stellenbosch. First 6 years were there. Then a short interlude in Randburg, in Joburg for 18 months. And then Strand after that. And I moved to Cape Town 20 years ago this year. So I've been in Cape Town, actually 21 years, 2005. I moved to Cape Town to work for the company that bought my dad's travel business. I was part of the package. So I'm a Cape Townian now, but there's a difference between a Cape Townian and a person from the sort of the broader Cape. We're very different types. Cape Townians are a breed unto ourselves.
Okay. You can elaborate on that because I didn't know that. And you decided you Stellenbosch and I thought it was Cape Town.
Yeah, no. So if you're from the Strand, you're generally a strandhond, as Willie LaRue puts it. So you've got quite a rough brand. You don't mind having a bit of a Barney in the pub. I'd say the Strand guys and the East Rand guys have the similar kind of reputation.
Okay.
If you're from Stellenbosch, you're a elite Afrikaner. You secretly pull all the strings of government behind the scenes, or at least according to our mates in the ANC. If you're from, but there's a lot of elitism in Stellenbosch. Still, the Stellenbosch, when we had a travel agency there, you have to call the wives of the professors as Mevrou Professor. It's quite clear how you need to address them.
Okay.
So Stellenbosch has got an elitist feel to it. Strand's got a rough feel to it. And in Cape Town, it depends. If you are from the southern suburbs, you are cliquey. You do not mix outside of your Rondebosch, Sachs, Bishop circles. You've got your little gangs from high school, and you stay in them. If you're in the city bowl, you're a mixed bag, but it's kind of interesting little subgroups in the city bowl. I happen to hang out with a lot of Afrikaans people and a lot of Jewish people. It's because of EO, soccer, and my school, if I can put it that way. But we have little subcultures in Cape Town that are laws unto themselves. And then if you're from the northern suburbs of Cape Town, you're from across the Boereworskurten. If you're Eben Etzebeth, you're from Goodwood. So you're really on that line of being very Afrikaans or kind of Cape Townian. So it's complex. I mean, we could spend the whole time, and it's a 6 million people city. But being Cape Townian, you go to Kirstenbosch, it's the mountain, dude. You like the surf, and Cape Townians are very much in love. We are very much in love with ourselves.
Yeah,
we are,
and the mountain.
Yeah, we're pretty and we know it. Like, don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's a Cape Town vibe, and yeah, I've kind of adopted it. It's lekker to be pretty, and I must just live with it. Yeah.
We call it a nice. We call that. It sounds like a nice problem to have. I guess you have there. The interesting thing. I told you the performance marketing background. We did this campaign for Tops at Spa at one stage, and it was about South Africans' favorites. And we had this face-off of South African favorite things. So it was like Boerewors versus this, or Gareth Cliff for this, and Madiba versus that, winning the World Cup '95. Unfortunately, Madiba won best human alive in the top 100 and that sort of stuff. And at the time he was best human. Sorry, clarity on that one. The rest, the top 10 were all food. Just so everyone knows, like, Madiba didn't win the whole thing, weirdly, but South Africans love food. Top 10 doing food. But there was a versus mechanic, is what I'm getting to. And there was Table Mountain was one of the things, but also the Drakensberg was it. So we tried this ad. We pushed out regionally because you could obviously geolocate and social and digital and that sort of thing. So we pushed the Table Mountain versus the Drakensberg Mountain as a visual ad to Cape Town or Western Province. And then we put it in KZN too. And there were 0 clicks in KZN. No one cares about the Drakensberg Mountains, like, if that wins. But in Cape Town, it just went mad. Like, everyone, what is our mountain? We need to protect at all costs. So then that was nice for us because we could just push all that budget just to that ad only in Western Province to make it work. But it was quite an interesting exercise to see how passionate they are about that mountain. I mean, the mountains and logos, I see it like...
Yeah, I don't know what the psychology is. Remember, we have a luxury travel business still that Caroline runs. I stopped operating in the business in COVID, but my wife still runs our consolidated business. And we have product here, luxury safari product in KZN, up towards, the north of KZN particularly. And KZN is a hard sell for us, It's everybody knows Cape Town, everybody knows the mountain, everybody knows Robben Island. It's really, really hard. If you're a tour guide in the Midlands and you're going to sell Boer War stories to clients, I've watched these guys work. They work 10 times harder here to create value. Their storytelling is next level here. Why? Because they're not as pretty as us.
Yeah.
So you're saying the KZN guys are better at their jobs than the Cape Town guys?
Completely. Yeah. The guys in the Midlands doing that work, they're 1,000 times better than the Cape Town guys because they don't have the same material to work with.
Okay, so have you always been pretty is the thing, but like tell us about the studies, how you grew up. I don't know any of that background. Before we get into tour guiding and we go through COVID, there was
so the lifeline headlines, I suppose, is one of my first prize for writing when I was 7 years old. Seven, I think I was sub B at the time, and realized that I'm very good at writing and I love to read. So I would say, and now with my son, he's also somebody that struggles with relationships. I am now much better at understanding human relationships and cause and effect. But much like golf, I'm also a pretty decent golfer, but none of it came natural to me. I was an introverted child. I was a bookworm. I was very smart. I didn't fit in. I wasn't sporty. And it very much shaped how I showed up in the world for a long time. I only really started to come out of my shell as a teenager. And then it was due to having a really good friend. And through golf, my dad and I started to spend a lot more time together. So I would say my gift has always been storytelling. I've always defined myself by my ability to write particularly. In later years, that translated to my ability to tell an actual story. My mother will always say, so my first real low light, I would say, moving on from childhood and growing up in the Strand, I was an A+ student. I was in top of the class more years than not. Got the bursary to Stellenbosch, and then I failed my third year because I didn't realize how important it is that the people around you and the structure you surround yourself with. So when I was in race the first 2 years, and I'd really, really dedicated roommates, I flew through my accounting degree. And when I had the barman from the downstairs pub as my roommate on the third year, I flunked out completely. And I mean, I blame the World Cup, it's 95, so there was a lot going on. But I ended up really just needing to learn a few hard lessons. My relationship with my dad went pear-shaped. And because if you're the smartest kid in school and you fail your third year of university, imagine the shame to the broader friendship circles, right? I bounced back and finished my fourth year. And again, I learned a lesson there. I wasn't good in isolation. Funny enough, I had seen myself as somebody that's really good in isolation, but I didn't study well by myself. I had a mate. I surrounded myself with the right guy. And the system that he put in place is we got together as a group in the bib at the time and studied together. And suddenly everything was easy. So later years, I went away to England, did all the things, learned how to be a storyteller in Austria, became a ski guide, learned how to be good with people in London because there's all these internationals, and I learned to evolve as a people's person. My travels, came back, joined my dad's big old travel business, and he wanted me to take over, so I went off and did my MBA at Stellenbosch as well. And at the MBA, I flew through it because I loved the topics. It was all very topical and I could immediately apply the things in the business. And there was we were put into almost like small study groups, and the study groups had a high cadence of getting together. Every second Saturday morning, we all gave up our personal life to work all the projects, to work the problems. And I was surrounded again by a couple of guys that were very, very high performers. and flew through it. No sweat, no problem. Got my thesis done quick and easy. Got my went abroad for a bit as part of the MBA, and I hadn't even finished it when Turvis came knocking, and we did the deal, and we sold our family business for a bundle of money. And I went and worked for the evil empire. I call them evil empire Turvest. I'm actually quite grateful because it did show me what I didn't want. There were some good moments, but mostly I realized that big companies overdo the structure and the systems. They have to, because of the nature of big organizations, and a particular kind of animal will survive and thrive in a big organization, in a big system. I'm too much of a cowboy. So I did it for a few years, walked away, and then did another spell abroad, teaching in the States and mucking around South America.
Where was the first spell abroad?
The first spell was a ski season in Neustadt, Austria. It's 22. Right after varsity, I went to Neustadt, then I went to London for a year, then I was in Israel for a bit, and then I backpacked for a bit. And I was away for 2 years, and I came back and joined my dad's business. He bribed me to come back.
Okay.
He came to London and basically got me down there with the promise of a rugby tour to watch Australia, New Zealand. He got me back into the Southern Hemisphere. He knew how to push my buttons, and then I cut short. I was quite keen on spending at least 3 or 4 years abroad, but I cut it short and came back and joined the business. And to great effect, because it was a better than market opportunity. My father and my mother worked together like I do with my wife now, and they taught me incredibly well in a short amount of time, and I learned some really useful business lessons. My dad was quite a accomplished guy, and quite a charismatic guy. While my mom she's still alive. She's quite a detail-oriented systems person. So you've got a big personality who's able who people love, along with a person who's really, really good at executing. You've got a pretty good team to build something on.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you meet your wife? Was this during the business?
A long time after. Look, I had to crash and burn with way more women than we can talk about here over the years. But I did learn how to also be better at treating women and not being afraid of women and all of those things. So Caroline came along after a lot of really bad decisions. I had my 30s spell. I worked in the business. We sold the business. I as a result of doing some smart investments, I became financially independent. I went away to the States again, and at the university where I studied as part of my MBA, I went to work there, and I did some time in South America learning Spanish, and I had a great old time. And then I came back and I said, I want to be a leadership consultant, and I want to be an author, and I want to do all these amazing things. And I realized I don't have the networks, I don't have the systems, I don't know how to do this. It doesn't feel like something I can do, so I just started a tourism business again instead.
Okay.
And I started a tourism business on the thinnest of premises, John. I said I loved being a backpacker in South America. I loved meeting all these new people all the time, and I wanted the best of both worlds. I wanted my mates, but I also wanted to meet all these new people and kind of have that variety. But I don't want to be living out of a suitcase anymore. I want to have my own bed. So the way that I can do this is I'll buy a van and I'll become a tour guide, and I just take Swedish women on wine tours every day of my life, and that will service me in a few ways. Okay? So that was my business premise. I'm going to take hot Swedish girls on wine tours. And that lasted about 6 months. They're great, but they don't really like to pay that well.
They're good looking. They're pretty.
Look, I had a lot of fun. Let's be clear. But then I had a girlfriend, and then suddenly the whole system changed, and I realized that I had an understanding of how to access the luxury market. So I moved my business into a more upper end. The dichotomy of travel was the guys that were charging it cheap were doing like 10 things on a Cape Point tour. The guys who were charging 4 times the price were only doing 2 things. Quality over quantity, make it private and customized, charge 4 times the price, have way less stress on your guides. It's a weird way to flip the model and then distribute direct because the internet had happened. So I just figured out a few things, and then I went down that lane, and the business exploded.
And that was your EO qualifying business?
Yeah, yes. That business bought a bunch of cars, then started a luxury travel division, a little training school, all kinds of things. Met my wife in 2015. sister, the good old way, my sister introduced us. She had met Caroline. Caroline had come down to Cape Town. She had been in Joburg for a decade. She's newly single. I was newly single, not new, but I was single for a couple of years. And we met mountain biking. And I suppose, again, you always want to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, it's 2015. I have a depot of like 8 cars. I have 12 full-time staff, 20 contractors. I have this whole organization, all of these moving parts. And I have this little business that I sell upstream the whole package to my clients inside of all of this. And I think at the time, the revenue was about 12 million. So I meet this girl. She's lovely. We're mountain biking. We sit down. We have a couple of bottles of wine. We have a lekker jol. I really like her. She's great. But I feel like shame because I talked to her and she's like, yeah, no, I've also got a travel business. And I was like, okay, cool. What do you do? She's no, I work out of my flat. Like, really? She's got employees? She's, yeah, no, I've got an assistant. I'm like, I see toch Mickey Mouse business. So but then we've had a few bottles of wine and I'm like, so how does it work? What do you, no, I sell luxury packages. I said, so what's your turnover, if I might ask? She says, no, I do about 20 million. Hold on. No depot, no cars, no break-ins, no tour guide issues, no fines, no late night phone calls on logistics. Just like that's almost double what I do. I got all this stuff. Okay, tell me more. And then I basically went hell's bells trying to turn my business into her business. And by the time COVID came around, we were married, we had kids, and she still had her business, and my business was looking a lot more like hers, but just not as good. And then COVID shut everything down, and I'm like, hold on. Why even bother? Why don't I just, now that I'm retrenching all my staff and we're kind of sitting this thing out, why even bother to reboot? Why don't I just do what I did in my business? Because I'm a systems guy. So I enabled my team and I let them do the work and I just busied myself with the strategy and all the scaling up stuff. Who's the core customer? Where do we find them? How do we get this team to the next place? How do we, all the stuff that I teach now, I did for our business. And then after COVID, I just did it for her business. Her business is now bigger than both our businesses combined pre-COVID with just like 20% of the staff. And I get to not work in it so much. I just get to do things that I do, which is run around and teach other businesses. So it's kind of worked out.
Okay, well, going back, and we actually haven't spent a lot of time talking about COVID it comes up but that it was a difficult time for everyone, and I think it would have been incredibly difficult for you, I imagine.
Look, back when I was a ski guide, there was a guy called Scotty. I forget Scotty's name. He's a redhead. He lived I forgot that he just lived just down the road from me in the complex. I would see him at the spa and whatnot. And Scotty was also one of the tour guides in our first gig as a tourism when we did the Lions Tour 2009. So I saw Scotty, in the resort. Then, like he came up. And I remember I was busy cancelling a group of 50 wedding goers to a safari lodge. Everybody needed to be refunded. Nobody wanted to know. We had done a crap load of work. I was trying to protect my staff, trying to protect the lodge, but they just wanted all their money back. And I just, so frustrating. People were so unreasonable, and I'm in the business of happiness. I remember going out to my porch in the middle of all this, like April 2020. And we can't go anywhere, by the way. We're stuck at home.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with these awful people that just don't want to know what your side looks like. And look, I had first principles. Look after my team, look after my customers, look after my suppliers, but in equal measure. Because if you screw the suppliers, they're all close. Like you can't do that. You need long-term relationships. I do. At that point, I still wanted to see if I can keep my team. And customers, you would like them to come back after this is all over.
Mm.
But people were just not lekker. Huh? Anyway. Walk out on my porch and I scream. I scream into the Cape Town City Bowl. I live up against the mount. I just scream, yeah! And I go and I just let it out. Just the pure frustration and the anger at the whole thing. And I feel better. And my phone pings. And it's Scotty. Pieter, you okay? Oh yeah, you're down there somewhere. And he heard me scream out into the universe. But that was real. That was the first few months. It was not pleasant. It was awful. I think it was easier for me because I made a decision with my wife, I was lucky. And I always think luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? Or Gary Player says, the more you practice, the luckier you get. I kind of think I've put myself in a position a bunch of times in my life to get lucky. So remember, in 2008, I came back and I wanted to be an author and a writer. What does EO do for you? It teaches you certain kinds of disciplines. It teaches you, the Entrepreneurs Organization teaches you, among other things, this thing called the 10-10-10, this morning ritual of gratitude and journaling. Among other things, it teaches you how to reflect and how to write things down and how to get into a habit of putting real thoughts into paper. EO also teaches you how to, in EO, I got this opportunity to be a trainer, a global trainer, where I fly around and teach all this business building stuff. So EO facilitated two of the things where I didn't have networks or capability in 2008. For the moment I joined 2018, it started teaching these capabilities. In 2020 hit, I had the side hustle already going of being a trainer. I'd already started to dip back into writing, and all of this time opened up. Plus, I had no ego about my identity as a founder, right? Because you're either a founder or you're an investor. As a founder, I want to keep my business and keep my ego and keep my legitimacy with my peers. As an investor, I'm going, here's my wife's business, here's my business, and we are both going to have to spend in excess of four bar over the next 2 years to keep these things afloat after we've cut all the costs. Or we can just let and it's all money back out of my pocket. And also I'm an accountant, so I ran the number and said, it's going to take me 4 years to break even on this thing. And if I want to build, right, I can build something else. And I know that that's going to be frustrating and it's going to take time because I'm starting from first principles again, but that's okay. Because I'd rather do that than rebuild something that I've built before. That's too boring. I would literally have to rebuild the thing that I built before in the way that I had it. And I was lucky because my wife had a business ready. She was going to keep on going. We had the conversation. We got a coach in to help us navigate the emotions around working together. But then we said, okay, here's all my top clients. Take them. Just look after them. And they'll stay in the revenue still comes into the family. We still get to enjoy all the 10 years of build. However, I can move on and do all these other things that gives me joy and build that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entrepreneurial, definitely discipline or trait or whatever, that risk, I would call it an affinity to risk, like that because the safer option would just be, do the thing like that we do before. We know it works, we'll do it again, even though you've done the math, and you know 4 years, you've done the math. It's a long time, but you've done it before. The definition that I love of entrepreneurship by Stevenson, I think it is entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity without resources currently controlled. So it means you jumping off the cliff and building the plan on the way down. You don't have the resources. You just you know there is something there. You don't have. You just go and you jump off the cliff and you build on the way down. And that's what entrepreneurs do. And they seem to do
ultimate gamification, dude. Yeah. Like we want to hit that dopamine loop of the new mountain to climb, the new hill, and I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but I'm going to figure it out. And you know what? That's why I said that to the crew today in my training. Like, South Africans are amazing. You go to the Big Mac Index, we can do everything 50% cheaper than any of our first world competitors, and we're probably better at it. We're more resilient, we're more inventive, we have all of the same sort of core capabilities. And so I think there's a cowboy nature for a South African to live and thrive here. You need a certain amount of risk tolerance. You need to be able to live with daily PTSD. It's just kind of in your DNA. Uncertainty is your reality, and you've learned to contain it. And uncertainty, it's a demon cobra, and you wrestle it to the ground. And a lot of us just love it. And think about the best, most awesome moments. It's when something unexpected happened, like quite randomly, the party, the experience on a trip, the unexpected romantic encounter, whatever it's happened in your life. It's always an element of surprise, and it's a delight. And so in luxury travel, it's all about the delight. It's about the client coming around the corner and saying, "This is a beautiful table set up with gins and the sunset," or in my case, because I'm a breathwork guy and I love all this new age stuff, like you're sitting into a riverbed in the Kruger and they've set up bells and aromatic things, and you're doing a full meditative breath work, watching the sun go down in the middle of the Kruger with like the hippos going over there. They keep it safe, by the way. But it's something that Sangeeta does. Delight. You got to delight the customer. And entrepreneurs, we're constantly delighting ourselves with the new things that we come up with. But we also scare the hell out of ourselves and disappoint the hell out of ourselves. And we take that risk-reward ratio because it's worth it.
Yeah, it's actually, I've heard someone theorize on it that there's a specific gene, I think it's DRD4, is the one that it is most entrepreneurs have or share because they have a high tolerance to stress. The traits that we talk about often are, as I study you guys, I always have that imposter syndrome that I'm not one, even though I am one. And I ask that question is like, one of the things about being an entrepreneur is often you have imposter syndrome.
No, it's essential.
Yeah.
It's what drives you. I got to be in the room. I don't deserve it. Let me try harder. Let me work harder. Let me figure it out.
Yeah.
I think imposter syndrome is pretty critical in the entrepreneurial journey because if you think you're good enough, you're not going to try as hard.
Yeah, there you go. And so we disagreeable. So if we were more agreeable, we would listen to shoulds and we would probably work at a big corporate, and that's what we would do. And
true story.
Yeah. So we disagree, and then we go and do our thing. Then we're creative. So like you've already expressed how creative you are, and then we conscientious because there's people at that coffee shop that we went to get a coffee just before this we started recording here, and they're mapping out the world's problems and they've got it sorted. They've come up with it. It's done. They know how to fix stuff. They don't get it done. Execution can be everything, and it's like so entrepreneurs actually go and do the thing. And then the X factor that I've heard and talked about, and it's quite interesting because in sales it's such a big thing I notice, is urgency. So it has to be done now. Jobs did stuff that it was like, yeah, I love what you're doing, but we got to create a mouse, and they got to create we have to do it now. We have to have it now, and obviously it's a yin yang. We have to figure out the balance on all of these things. But yeah, the urgency and that creativity and these traits, and that's also surrounding. I've managed with EO. It's been one of the things. And I was 2019. I was fortunate enough to join. So you were 18, you said. And then, but COVID, it really did help me with COVID. And I think
the network was amazing.
Yeah. And the dirty word pivot that we all talked about so much. But yeah, so you did actually successfully do it, but still keep one alive and grow it and just.
Well, how much harder would it have been to walk away from all of that momentum and effort? Like I knew exactly how to do it. I had all the clients. I could have, but EO was great. EO gave me words. EO gave me timelines. In EO, we have a big Jewish community in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And some of them are Israelis, and they know everything that's going on behind the scenes. They are hooked in to the neural information network. So way before anybody knew, I knew what international organizations, health organizations, African government were doing in terms of modeling around how long this thing is going to last.
Okay.
And I knew what I was in for. Other people were still wondering, and I knew exactly what the low road, high road, even before Satsa knew. And so I could start doing the math.
Okay.
And it comes down to math. It comes down to equations for me a lot of the time. And then the second thing was that EO then gave you that are you an investor or a founder?
Okay.
How attached are you to your identity here?
Yeah.
Like, how much is it worth to you?
Yeah.
To hold on to your identity, and having those words really helped me because if I act like a founder and I want to keep my ego and my business owner and my standing, then I need to put a price to that. Or if I'm an investor, I can cut my losses and say I don't need to give up this momentum. My wife can keep the identity, and I can become a plucky startup / consultant, whatever I became.
Mm.
But you need to be able to lose your identity.
Yeah, malleable, flexible, and
open. But EO gave me the words and the constructs and the systems to explore what that looked like, and I'm forever grateful. It was, it was a hell of a time, and lots of people had a trauma. Caroline lost her father, but he kind of didn't want to take any vaccinations. He was already frail. I think COVID actually helped him, jump over the edge there. But we lost him, but it wasn't like other people lost loved ones and parents that were healthy,
too soon.
That too soon. And I am empathic for them. I think it's horrible what happened to them, and I'm empathic for their story. For me, it was very much a net positive, and I think both can exist.
The interesting thing, I think you might enjoy this story. I don't know if I've spoken to you about it, Luke, but I had two gyms. The one had a WhatsApp with all of the clients and said, like, listen, enjoy the rest, guys, but we're going to be back in 3 weeks, so take a break. We're going to do everything, like, just take the time. Classes will start on day 22. Yeah, we're excited about that. Just take the time. That's it. The other one said, guys, come in. You need to take equipment. You need to strip the gym. Take it home. The barbells, all of this equipment. It's first come, first serve. You get to take 3 items or whatever it was, and go home and do that. And then on Monday, I will send you training, and we will run competitions, and we'll do this. And
Amazing.
that. So one of the things there is very clever because also you couldn't leave to quit you had the equipment. You had to pay for it because you had to carry on paying because you actually had his dumbbells and you weren't even allowed to leave the house to go return them.
Yeah.
And then I just thought it was brilliant in so many ways. One of those ways, he just got you psychologically and he kept you fit. Oh, it was Russ. It's wonderful from Shumba at the time. So shout out to Russ. But it was just so clever, so ingenious, like to lock people in and get them. And it was also, I didn't know that he did it psychologically to tie them in, but they were tied. We were tied in because we had his equipment there. And now, fine, we'll carry on paying. And we'll do, and yet, because he's providing, he continued paying a service, even though we were digitally doing it. So I love that example. And the one survived, and the other one got the extension and closed. They couldn't make it. They didn't last the months of not having it, so they had to close totally. He kept going, and he actually built off it at the end.
And he made a bold call, right? Yeah, I mean, look, there's 1,000 stories. I think it's again, you don't have complete information as an entrepreneur. You don't know what's the right call, but you need to make one and then follow through. I ended up retrenching all my stuff. 6 months later, everybody was gone. But I kept the last ones, and everybody was very good to that mandate of communicating and giving people options. I said to my team, okay, are we going to become a virtual assistant company? I'm pretty sure there's a market opportunity here. You're all highly skilled administrators. I can do this, but if you don't do this, then we all going to 30% of salary, and TERS will pop us up for a while. But when that's done, you need to make a call. And so people just found other jobs, found other things, and I'm quite proud of the way me and my team worked through that whole period, and everybody was okay in the end. Everybody landed somewhere safe. And for me, you know what? Started a walking business that didn't go anywhere, but it was kind of a fun project and kept people. The moment we could get out, people could go do local things, and then that kind of led into the coaching and training thing, which is also starting to happen. So you throw a few darts at things, and then you see, okay, this is like Steve Jobs. Talked about jobs before, right?
Yeah.
When I left in 2006 for abroad after we sold the business, after I finished with the corporate, one of the things I did was I went to Guatemala and I spent a month at a place called Las Piramides. There's a lake in Guatemala that's a girl I met on Kilimanjaro. Different story, single days. There was there's a lake called Lago de Atitlan. It's Spanish for the Atitlan Lake. And it's surrounded by 4 volcanoes, each named after a disciple. So there's these 4 volcanoes and these towns: San Pedro, San Cristobal, San Marcos, Mark, Peter, and San Marcos had a meditation center that you could go to for a full month and learn about all of the world's religions and esoteric practices, and do yoga and meditate and figure yourself out. And there, in the final week of silence, in this lake with all of this beautiful cold water and sunrises and super peaceful and veganism and all that stuff. I was a hippie for a while, for a month. Then I back to not being a hippie. But my crystallized thought was my gift is storytelling. I knew it, but now I really know it. I'm going to lean in. What I tell people when I coach them or when I talk to audiences, and we're all obsessed, what is my purpose in life? There's two things. A, stop switching your life purpose. What is your purpose for today? Can you define why you're on the planet today and lean into your daily purpose? And that might be helpful. So don't make this elephant that big. Because your purpose can also shift. More importantly, what's your gift? What's your gift, and how is your gift incorporated in what you do? Because if you're not, in the Bible they say you've got to work with your talents. You've got to multiply your talents. If your talent, if your gift isn't central to the work that you do, then unhappiness is sure to follow. Plus, money will follow you if you are in your power and in your gift. Because naturally, your gift, if you find a way to monetize it, the other good things will happen. I am meandering towards Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and to a lesser degree, Elon Musk. Great storytellers. People that can sell ice to Eskimos. If you read the Four Horsemen of the four tech horsemen of the apocalypse or whatever, it's a book by Scott Galloway, and it talks about Bezos got the investors to give him the kind of runway and license for decades that you would never give anybody else. It's great at selling them the story.
What makes a good story?
A good story follows. There are several ways to tell a good story, but if I can give you a formula, right? It's the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell, The Hero of the Thousand Faces. If you watch Harry Potter, watch Star Wars, watch a number of tales, it's about there's a hero that gets called to an adventure, and then as a mentor faces trials and tribulations, but he kind of gets a quick victory, but it's a false victory because he's first got to learn something about himself. He's got to learn that he needs to trust more. He needs to trust the force. He's got to learn that he knows there's a legacy. There's a construct, and the hero after the trial and error, there's a false victory, but then he learns something about himself. He goes through a dark night of the soul where he really struggles and where he's really tormented and he almost loses. But then he learns the critical piece of himself that allows him to beat the bad guys, get the princess, and he comes back the teacher. And that is it. You will once you check Greek mythology, modern movies, there is a particular there's a book called Save the Cat, where it's script writing or novel writing. It's beats. There's 15 beats to a good story. There's 3 acts. Every act has 5 beats, and the story starts here and ends here, right? And the end is a positive reflection or a negative reflection of the start, depending on the story, depending on the journey you're taking your hero through. So Luke starts alone in the desert in Tatooine, but he ends surrounded by friends, family, in a crowded party at the end of the Return of the Jedi. And he's still reflecting, he's still looking beyond what's here, because that's his nature. But he's a very different. He's evolved completely into this community guy.
I've experienced also the opposite is true. We did this. I worked with Creatives Agency Life before, and we did this. I remember at TBWA, I worked on a John Smith campaign. So we were actually speaking to John Smith, and he just won the World Cup. He'd been the captain of the World Cup rugby, and they came up with Barney's Army. And it was a game in against the Sharks, but he's Barney, and he would assemble his army, and his army was just the best of the best that were available.
I remember that, yeah.
And I remember the creative team. I got dragged into it. It wasn't my idea at all, but like I had to execute digitally for it. There's a whole social component of it. And what I remember of it, I remember going, okay, this is legs, guys. Like Barney will be the coach one day. He'll be the Ian Mac. Like he gets to be, he's going to be the coach, and he'll still assemble his army because that's the thing. But right now he's playing. He's going to play the next couple of years. It's all for charity and all for his live, and like a beautiful story. And they were like, no, absolutely not. It's a once-off thing. We're doing it one time. That's it. And they were quite stubborn about it. And I've had that before in other experiences. Some people just, they don't believe that it's quite difficult to know when to call it. Maybe they were right. And maybe they were, John, that's silly. Like Barney isn't that much of a brand that I thought he was. Like I would go watch Barney's Army versus whoever. Like, I don't think we have enough experiential stuff like the Barbarians, and that was what it was essentially. But like, it's his team, and if he's not playing, he's now the coach, and he's assembling his army and go play it.
Yeah, look, this
When to stop, I guess.
So hard to tell, right? I was at Live Golf at Joburg a few weeks ago, and what an experience! What a triumph! They are pulling the plug on that thing. If you were at that event, you would say this thing is now finally taking off. The Saudis don't want to spend the money anymore because, the oil. And Live Golf, which has been this real story in the golfing world for the last 4 years, is it this runaway success or is it dying? The numbers says it's dying. The fan experience that I saw says this thing needs to be saved and continued. So I think it's hard to make those kind of calls of what's going to work on the long term, what isn't. Yeah. I think there's lots of good ideas that last too long, and then there's lots of bad ideas that last too long, and lots of good ideas that get terminated too quickly. I think timing is critical, John.
Yeah.
Like, timing is critical. If you've got thirsty, how does Rich Mulholland put it? Don't take the horse to. You don't want to take the horse to water that they won't drink. You got to create thirsty horses. You got thirsty horses. If you are Checkers and you've just launched 60/60. And COVID happens, you've got super thirsty horses. You're going to dominate because your timing is in.
Yeah.
If you are live golf, had a beautiful moment when they could just grab like up and comers who were kind of ostracized from the sport, like Bryson DeChambeau. They could get them because they weren't being accepted, but they grew up inside of that container. So timing is important, I suppose. No,
100%. We talked about the podcasting earlier, and just to go back to that, one of the things is why podcasting is seeming to take off, and we're like, it's part of our business. That's what we do, and what we do for clients, and build the studios as well as do the things I told you. Is because of the timing of it. It's been going since the early 2000s. Like, that's it. But the timing is in a place where data has never been cheaper. It's never been more accessible to listen to download. The person you want, Scott Galloway, for instance, and listen to him right now, his learnings yesterday, right now in your car to work. And you couldn't do that before. It was too expensive and it wasn't accessible, and your digital radio didn't have CarPlay and all these things. So just timing brings it together and it happens, yeah?
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, please do.
So I was a very self-congratulatory. Remember, I'm from Cape Town, so we like to slap ourselves on the back a lot.
Yeah.
You think you're pretty?
They think they know. They know.
And so I said about 8 years ago, I said, I'm turning off all the news streams. I'm turning off all the feedback because it's just entertainment dressed up as news, and they're just trying to hit my attention levels. And how many times can they tell me that Jacob Zuma is stealing us clean, and that Cyril isn't doing anything? I mean, honestly, like, I get it. Anyway, so I stopped listening to the news, and I said, I'm going to listen to radio in the car. I will listen to audiobooks and podcasts. And man, it's Tim Ferriss, and it's Lex Friedman, and it's all of these people, and I am very pleased with myself. I'm educating myself. I am not dipping into this news thing. And one day I'm in the car listening to a podcast, still congratulating myself that they can't get me with their marketing and their bloody sensationalism. And I'm listening to Lex Friedman interviewing Donald Trump. And then after he wins the election, and they analyze how he did it, he says, well, his people are just smarter than other guys. The Democrats spent 4 times or something that Donald Trump did, but they were in antiquated techniques. They had their people go knock on the same doors 4 times and buy all these expensive TV spots and all the stupid things. Donald Trump got Elon Musk to do that micro commitment in Pennsylvania, swing state. Different story. get the micro commitment first, sign up to vote, then you're going to get you to vote. Like micro commitments is very much in that persuasion handbook of selling. And he said, where are my guys? Where are they? Well, they listen to Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman and all these right-wing, like all the middle-aged, the disenfranchised white dudes that I want to get to vote. They don't watch the news. They listen to podcasts.
In the acceptance speech, he thanked Rogan and Theo Von.
Yeah.
His random.
I'm going to hit 50 million people over and over. Like that's my reach for like an hour of content. But what I need to do is I can't script it. Rogan's not going to let me come up here and like control, like be controlled.
Yeah.
So I need to be open to but I'm Donald Trump, but that's what I do. I just make it about whatever I want to talk about, no matter what you want to talk about. So, I mean, it's very Trumpism. Like, it's very Trumpish that he could do that. But the point is, I'm like, holy fuck. They got me. The news got me. Yeah, like, Donald Trump, you prick, you got me. I stopped slapping myself on the back, and I actually don't listen to Lex Friedman anymore because I'm like, flicks him. But that's the point. Like, it's so smart. Podcasts are the new medium for distribution for particular ideas. And I think it's time and a place. You guys are in the right place. And the way, look, you look for stuff on the internet, you're looking for old information, and it's there forever now. Like the radio stations do it too, and they have the collateral. And, I think I told you for my Boks to Business book, there's a bunch of, and that stuff is still there, but it's not, I don't think it's algorithmed as well as what you guys do. So it's not as visible. So it was there for the first 6 months, and then it starts slipping down the page rankings because nobody's paying attention to keeping it current, the collateral of what I did. Also, I haven't done stuff, public stuff for the last 6 months because there was a time and a place where I was on a marketing tour for the book,
Yeah.
But so the regularity, the cadence of doing frequent podcasts and then the collateral created, I think there's massive. Yeah, it's a time and a place. I think there's legs to it, huh?
Yeah, let's get onto the book, but after we go through your ad, I just want to transition to the ad right now that you've picked, and then we can go, I want to understand why exactly you've picked that, but let's just...
The ad is called The Reader. It's an ad by Bells. I think my friend Nicola's agency actually, I think it was a St. James curated ad, and the ad is about well done. It's about recognition. It's about effort. It's about an act of service.
Yeah. So let's play that now.
Evening.
Evening.
May I ring that up for you?
Yes, please.
Have a good evening.
Repeat after me. A.
A.
Then B. And C.
C. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
No. Not good. Not good.
Just the sounds that words make.
Cat. Dog.
Calamari.
Trash.
On the beach.
Good.
Farm fresh.
My son and I mowed the grass.
What's the gold star?
Gold star.
Unbelievable.
Dad,
Hey, Tubbs, I read your book.
you read my book. Barman, give that man a bells.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's emotional. I actually get emotional on that one too. It's just beautiful, beautiful ad.
What a great ad.
Yeah, but the reason for that, for picking that one?
I've just always loved it. So then you ask me why. I also get a bit cheerful. You ever read the 5 love languages?
Yes.
My love language is act of service. So acts of service, don't tell me. Don't give me gifts. Show me. Make an effort. You make an effort and try to make an effort. It really, my friendships with my wife, it's effort. Effort is how I feel loved. So that is a effort.
Yeah.
That's a father really reaching. It's a son really. The son does this thing, and the dad can't. He's not able to recognize him for it in a real way. So he makes the effort, learns how to, and he reads the book, and then I give that man a bells. My father was a bells drinker. There's a father and a son. It's a reverse recognition, right, of honoring your son, or the effort to honor your son. And I think at a subliminal level, we probably all are looking for the approval of our fathers. So it probably speaks to that a little bit. Like you're always wondering how proud they are of you. My dad's gone now, but yeah, I suppose you always hope that they up there somewhere proud of what you've accomplished and what you've done.
I learned that from Elon Reyes. Actually talked about that quite a bit, where especially with entrepreneurs, one of the questions he asks at Race Corp when because Africa's biggest incubator is like when they take on entrepreneurs. What is your relationship with your father? And that, because he's learned, he's a test, part of the test on entrepreneurship, and they want to back the right people here. And often, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, have a certain type of relationship with the father. It's either can be quite distant. There's often an overdoting mother that compensates for that, and or the absent altogether father, and then they step into that role. But I felt that actually my father was incredible, just amazing. But on his deathbed, I speak about this often. I think he was very worried about my mom financially. A good husband should be, I guess. I said, and the business had we were just doing so well, and I had money in the bank, had a couple million in the bank. And I showed him my the F&B app, and I was like, look, Dad, we're gonna be fine. Mom's fine. I got this. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Don't worry about Mom. It's all good. And he looked at my thing, and he was delirious. I think the fevers and that. And he looked at me, and he just whatever. That's not enough. He just dismissed it. And and it was one more thing where I wasn't good enough. And it was and he didn't mean. I don't think he didn't mean to. He didn't that wasn't his intention. But I was always seeking, I was trying to seek, just love me, I'm good enough, and I got this, and that sort of thing. But I know now that that amount that I showed him, I know my mom's spending habits, and it's...
There's a story there, right?
Yeah, so that wasn't good enough. He was right, he was very right to be worried, but no, I'm kidding. But yeah, there's that relation, Steve Jobs had it, there's this distance that you have. You're busy we talk about this book at next, but you're busy working on something. Your next book is with your father. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, so it's funny because that's exactly it. I think we're both speaking at this conference next month, and it's about the sandwich generation. So my dad was amazing. He's my hero, but he was distant. He was busy building his business, being a dude in the world, and I have scars from that. And I try to be a very different kind of father in my generation. And I've got 2 young boys, and I try to be very present in their lives and show up for the sports games, and it's the things that my dad didn't do. And I blame him for the absences, but I also understand that he'd evolved from his father, and I'm evolving from my father. We're all standing on the shoulders of our forefathers. So, but it's difficult sometimes to not, man, where were you? But he was doing his thing, and he was creating financial security and all of those things. So the trick is to really honor him for everything that he was. And my mom, exactly that, strong mother figure, very nurturing, a slightly distant father, and so you just become very successful because you always you got to work for that approval.
You have to be a public book. It won't be public facing.
It won't be a public book. No.
In terms of the box to business that we got here, and we'll have all the links to where people can purchase and that in the show notes here. key takeaways for that. I know it's a whole book. We could do a whole episode, and potentially you should revisit it in a podcast series.
Yeah.
But like, and you can get the guys back in, or the new player
Yeah.
and see and whatever it is. But there's lots. But key takeaways from that, man.
The book has a lot of stuff in it. There's 9 lessons. It's called the Bomb Squad Operating System. And it's about the big picture, the vision that the Springboks have. It's about the ownership, the values that everyone has. It's about the milestones to success, about mapping the star, mapping the road to success. It's about building the bench, about managing your people, managing your resources, and making the bench really the centerpiece of your strategy. Because when you build your bench and you're a 4-dominated game, you can actually start winning, and everybody's going to start copying your system. Squad, right? Shock and surprise, right? You have got to be innovative. You've got to have the lights and have all of these innovations, do things nobody's ever seen before, because that's how you stay ahead. Everybody's always catching up to you quickly, so you got to do things, interesting things within the construct that you have. Quest, tell the story. Tell the hell out of the story, because you tell the story, the referees will start liking you, the press will start liking you, and suddenly you get the 50-50 calls when things go wrong on the field. Utility and unity. Every single person matters. Every single person has a job to do. Every single person, it's not about how many games you've played. It's not how long you've been here. You have to show up like Pieter Geldenhuys does every single day, even though it's not easy, even though it's not fun. The guy's hurting. But he's got a job to do, and hell, he's going to do it. And he's going to align with everybody else, and he's going to show them that no matter how senior you are, I'm here because of my utility, not my entitlement. Analyze and adapt. Run the data. Figure out where we went wrong. Analyze truthfully, analyze the hell of it, and let the data dictate your decisions. Of course, life. Data is the new cocaine, right? There's more to life than data. But man, do not ignore the data at your panel. Keep on analyzing, keep on adapting. And the D in Bomb Squad, right? Direct and deflect. As a leader, whether you're Rassie Erasmus or Pieter Geldenhuys or Jonathan Oliff, your job is to take the heat when things go wrong, right? Deflect away from your players onto yourself and protect them. And when it goes right, all the glory gets heaped on them. When it goes right, it's them. And when it goes wrong, it's you. Radical ownership. And at the end of the day, you are in the dock for all of it, no matter who gets the credit or who gets the blame. So direct. You cannot abdicate direction to the organization. You can take the inputs. You can be Steve Jobs. You can bring everybody's, and you can listen, and you can cooperate and use the brain trust and let them do the research and let them influence you. But when the dust settles, you are directing the ship. You are the captain, and you make that final call, and you live and you die by it. And that's the Bomb Squad operating system for leadership and for companies and for top performing sports teams.
What is that quote? While we're working for it, what is the quote, your favorite quote? I left you with that information.
So I'm a quote lover.
Yeah.
But let me kind of, we talked about my father a lot. And I'm coming off a training week of teaching companies how to be better at execution. And I start these presentations by talking about choking, about how high performers choke. Talk about the 99 Proteas in the Cricket World Cup, particularly, as choking is what happened is when high performers stop letting their legacy training dictate their movement, and they start overthinking. They let their second system. They start to try and overdo things, and the pressure makes them override their natural abilities, right? So, and it happens because people don't trust the system enough. They think they now need to do other things, and if they just trust the system, trust the legacy constructs, things will be fine. But people choke because they don't. Whether it's Rory McIlroy, whether it's the Proteas, they start doing incredibly stupid amateurish things under pressure. So that's the long preamble to, and then I say, what you need is incredibly professional high performers working within a great system. Your job as a leader, your job as someone building organization is to clear the way for your people is to give them all the tools they need to do their best work and to succeed. And so my dad always told me his business, and that was mirrored when I went into my MBA by Jack Welch, the celebrity CEO of the time, is systems, systems, systems. In my dad's business, there were people that worked there 10, 20, 30 years. And he said, yeah, we have great people. We have amazing people. But we win because of our systems. Because good people, great people will fail in bad systems. And good people will thrive in great systems. So we had great people, a lot of, because they had a great system to work with. And over time, their success compounded. So that's my quote, is systems first. Systems drive behavior. Something another friend of mine said years later. But great people need great systems. Otherwise, you are setting up for failure at some point. And so in my world today, whenever I have an issue in the business, I always ask that question. Is this a people thing or is this a system thing? Because if the system is good enough in this case, it's up to you, and we need to do some kind of step change for you. You're either in the wrong seat, or you've got, or your mind's not on the game. But if the system is faulty, let's fix the system to enable you to not make this mistake again. And so I've always built my businesses systems first. If I build the right system, the right people will be attracted in, and they will thrive.
Perfect. Peter, is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have?
No, this has been, as Tim Ferriss puts it, this has been a wide-ranging and interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been great. I've enjoyed it. I'm a lot more awake now than I was when I came in here. I love this stuff.
Anything you'd like to close with then?
Yeah, I think Jerry's final thought. Jerry. My final thought is, and I'll take it back to the Boks, and I'll take it back to Pieter Stef the tweet. The real work is not to show up when it's easy. The real work is to show up when it's hard. And it's hard when you think you've done enough. It's hard when people start telling you how amazing you are. It's hard when you're tired and you don't want to do it anymore. Like the real trick is to still show up and to still go. And it's hard for a reason, but that's what I want. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want for my kids, is to be resilient, to show up even when it's hard. We can all keep on showing up even when it's hard. We'll all be better people, and country will be a better place. The Springboks keep on showing up even when it's hard. They'll keep on winning. But keep on showing up even when it's hard. That's the final thing I'd like to say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The incredible PG, Pieter Geldenhuys.